welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be working in my reading journal, and this is going to be a little bit of a longer video because right now we are starting on some of the kind of setup parts, the first pages of the section for 2023, but then I do end up going back at the end, and I just thought, what the heck, I'm going to go ahead and complete December as well in the 2022 section and have that all be finished. So I say sections because, as you can see, I'm using the same notebook. So I was gifted this Archer and Olive notebook by my friend Avatal, and it started my Archer and Olive moment in time. I love them now. They're my favorite notebooks for sure, and I'm definitely going to continue using them. It did get a little chunky for me adding in photos, all of the pictures of the books, the Dymo label maker tape, all of that kind of stuff. So it is a bit chunky, but I have like half of the book left. Seriously, like half of the book of the notebook. And I really don't want to just let it go to waste. So I'm just going to try to keep rolling with it and have 2023 be added to this notebook as well. So what I did was I just made sure that I left a couple pieces of paper where I needed them for the 2022 section. And then here we're just going to go ahead and keep it moving, and we're going to start 2023. So I did cut that one paper you saw me do, and that's just going to be like a cute little divider just to mix it up a little bit. And then here I'm doing my opening title page. So the beginning of this journal, the very first page in it says Reading Journal 2022. So I didn't really want to put Reading Journal again because I think that you get that part. So I put I am a reader, which I thought was cute. And I put 2023, of course. And throughout, as you see these stickers, they're all going to be from Pip Sticks. So I have kind of a little collection going on here of just some of the stickers that I've found that I like from Pip Sticks. I love these tiny stars. They're one of my favorites. I also have some bookmarks and some cute little people reading books. And then these girls dancing were from one of their newer packs that I received. And they don't really have anything to do with reading, but they looked really happy, and I thought that they would be cute in my book anyways. So I'm adding those on. And then I have some really old washi here that I've just pulled out of my collection. So I have no clue where those are from or anything, but I'm going to add those on. And then for this section of the book for 2022, I used the Honey and Spice Alpha stamp set from Heidi Swapp. For this section of the book, I'm going to be using the Sophie Alpha stamp set from Citrus Twist, which is one of my favorites. If you do watch my Project Life videos, I use that stamp set a lot. I just love the size, but I wanted to change it up a little bit in this album just to give it a little something different for the 2023 section as opposed to the 2022 section, I guess. So here I am adding an Avery index tab, and I've used my label maker there just to spell out, I guess, or to write 2023, and I'm adding that in because I do have another one that says 2022, so a good little divider if you want to quickly get to the 2023 section. And then in some parts of the 2022 section, I use this particular piece of pattern paper from the Color Fresh collection from Heidi Swapp, an older collection that I love. And I happen to have a couple sheets left of it. So I grabbed those, and I thought that those would be nice to use here and there in this video as well. So love that. And you'll see me refer back to the previous year over and over just to kind of make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. So if you do follow my scrapbooking, you're definitely going to know that I'm kind of a on a whim kind of person. I don't do much measuring. I don't really worry about all those types of things. And it's the same in this journal for me. I do kind of refer back and try to count the spaces, but if I don't do it perfectly, it's okay. You know, I kind of like the wonky homemade vibe of my albums anyways, so it works out for me. So here I want to keep going with the super colorful thing that I'm doing throughout this album. So I am using just different little stamp pads from Catherine Pooler, and I'm spelling out what I read in 2023 at the top. And this is going to be the same idea as my what I read page for 2022. So my plan here is just going to be, as I go through my months and add all of my books in here, I will print off my book covers. Now, last year I did print off my book covers at a 0.7 by 1.1 size, kind of random, but that was the size that I ended up finding that worked for me. But this year, I'm planning on figuring out a size that's even smaller than that. Since I go into detail during the months, I don't think that it super matters. It's just kind of the fun aesthetic look of all of the book covers together at the end of the year. And you'll know that in the 2022 section there, I had to add on a little like hinged flap tip in kind of thing so I could add the rest of my books. And although that doesn't bother me, I'm hoping that I will read 100 books this year. I only made it to 91 last year. So I just figured if I print off the book covers a little smaller, I'll be able to fit all 100 on that 2-page spread. That's what my hope is. So now for the second one, we are going to be doing my favorite books of each month, which is one of my favorite spreads as well. So I'm just drawing on here 12 different boxes, and this is where I will end up putting each of my favorite books for each month. So I love the way that this looks, and I love the kind of quick reference to just see which book was my favorite. And then you kind of have a collection of all your favorites at the end of the year, which I think is really, really fun. So I kind of just very quickly checked out the size of the boxes that I did in 2022. And then I roughly drew them on here. I think they were maybe 9 by 12 little of the little dots, but I think a couple of them might be 8 by 12. Like I said, it doesn't matter that much to me. You won't really be able to tell that they're any different by the end. So then I kind of outlined them all in a different color, and then I'm adding on each month here underneath. And then we will, of course, stamp up at the top, and we are going to stamp monthly favorites and add in all of our stickers. So I definitely wanted both of the sections of this journal to be similar. I wanted them to kind of have the same feel and be cohesive. So I am using basically the same stamp pad for the same similar colors, and also the same pins that I used last year and all of that, like a lot of the same stickers. And like I said, they're all from Pipsticks, so they all have that same kind of feel. So I like kind of changing things up as I needed to, but also having them be cohesive. So I really like that. So far, the what I read spread and also the monthly favorites worked out really well for me last year. So I wanted to keep those. And if y'all have followed along with my other reading journal videos, you will know that I didn't really keep track of that many things as far as like all kinds of different stats and all kinds of different things that I've noticed in a lot of people's reading journals. Now, I love looking at other people's, but for me, I like to keep it simple. So I don't track anything like every day that I read or all kinds of stats, because I know that I'm not going to come back to this book and constantly update that. I thought about doing a Goodreads challenge and putting in like a little square for up to 100 squares so I could mark those off for every day, or excuse me, for every book that I read throughout the year. But I ended up not doing it just because I didn't think that I necessarily needed that spread, and I just want to keep it simple so that I can succeed in completing everything in this journal. So for me, simple is best. So for the next one, I'm once again doing my bookshelfie the same way that I did it last year. I have the Etsy shop linked below that I used, but my friend Brittany used this particular Etsy shop. I think it's called The Planner Mom, and I loved this look. I always love everyone that does the bookshelfie, and I loved not having to stamp that out myself. So I'm still going with the same look. It works for me, but you will will notice that at the bottom, I did go ahead and add a fourth shelf to each one of these, just so that I will be able to fit 100 books, because like I said, that's my goal for this year. So I just added on a little bit more. Then at the top, I'm just going to, of course, stamp out my bookshelfie here and add on my stickers. Now, one thing that I am changing, as I mentioned many times, I think, in my reading journal, previous videos. But what I did this past year for this spread was that I color coded the books. So every month I would come to the shelfie and I would color each book in that I read for that month with my midliner, I think is what it's called, marker. And then I would add on the book title onto the book. Now, the color coded situation was that I would do blue, I think, if it was an audiobook, pink if it was a physical copy, and yellow if it was an ebook. Now, the thing is that I do like keeping track of that stat. I think that's fun, but it really didn't serve much of a purpose for me because I listened to a ton of audiobooks, a fair amount of physicals, and hardly any ebooks at all. And by the end of the year, I mean, I had no yellows colored in at all on there. So what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to do it all by a 5-star rating system, or by a rating system where I color in the books based on if they are 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, or 1-star. And I think that that will be a lot more interesting to see at the end of the year, to see like how many 5 stars I had, or if I even had any 1 stars, that sort of thing. So I think that will be a lot more fun. Now, the only spread that I am adding this year to like this beginning section is a TBR list. So I thought about doing this last year, but I didn't do it because I really didn't have a very big physical TBR. And I don't truly have a huge physical TBR now, but I do have a decent amount of books that I have purchased that are here at my home on my shelves that I have not read. So that is what this particular spread is for. So I added a couple little pieces of the pattern paper and a couple other stickers at the top. And then I'm spelling out reading my TBR in my stamps. And then I'm going to use one of my little pens and I'm going to put a bunch of lines all down this page, which you will see. And then I will very magically have it filled in where I went in my bedroom, I got all the books off my shelves that I have not read, and then I added them to the TBR. So you'll see that here as we go. And I think that that's going to be a really good way to like visually see the books that I am buying and see the books that I am trying to read. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to mark those off and that I'll be able to actually make a dent in my actual physical TBR at my house. So that would be awesome. I forgot though, before I do that, I just grabbed one of my little markers here and I'm adding like kind of an underlined element to each of my titles. And I think that really did something. I really enjoy it. I almost want to go back to the 2022 section and maybe do that. So you may see that eventually, I'm not sure. But then I just decided to outline all of them. So that's what I'm doing here. And I think it's really cute. I love those particular marker highlighters. I think they're called the midliner. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're really cool and really fun. They're a little expensive, but I totally think that they're worth it. I bought them years ago for my Hobonichi when I had one like in 2019, I think. And now I don't use them that much, but they still work really good. And they're just super fun to use. They have kind of a thicker line and a thinner one. And they're almost a cross between a marker and a highlighter. And I really like them. So here is where I'm adding on all of my lines, as I told you before, and then I will magically have added in my physical TBR. So I am fairly new to reading, as y'all know. So that's my physical TBR. I don't know how many that is, maybe 20-something books. It's not like I just have thousands of books in my home. But I have really been enjoying buying books over the past few months. So I do anticipate that my TBR will grow. So my plan is to just add the books that I buy onto that list and then hopefully mark several of them off as I read them throughout the year. So here, I actually, off camera, I guess, I peeled up a little bit of the fourth shelf that I added there on the right side, and I just cut off a little section of it so that I could make a little kind of square. And inside that square, I am going to add in my rating system so that I don't, or if anyone's looking at it, or I don't get confused in the future, or that other people will know what in the world I was doing here. So I did color in a few of the cute little plants and mugs and stuff that are on this shelf. And then you'll see I'm just adding in my rating system. So I'm just choosing a color to represent 5 through 1 stars. And then I'm adding them on there. And then I will use my pen to just outline them and add on the number. And then I'll be able to refer back to that throughout the year. And then when I'm looking back on this album, I will know kind of how I rated each one of these books, which I think will be really fun. I really love the rating part of books, of rating the books at the end. And so I thought that it would be fun to not only add my cute star rating stickers to each month, which I still plan on doing, but I also like the idea of having the rating system there within my shelfie. So now I just thought this page needed a little something else. So I added a couple of those bookmark stickers, a couple of the star stickers. I think that looks really cute, adding a little bit more here and there. And I really like the way that this page turns out. And then this is all that I am adding for my setup section for 2023. So then my plan, if it pans out the way that I'm thinking, I will, of course, just then go into the months and start adding in all of my monthly spreads. And then if I want to do reviews again, if I want to do something for the book club again, which I'm assuming that I will want to do that, I'll do that as we go. And I should have just enough pages to fit everything in. So I will have to kind of count and make sure that I'm all good, but that's the plan. So here I am adding in my books. Now, I was only able to add in 4 book covers onto this What I Read page, even though I did read 5 books this month, but it's okay. I read 2 Paper Girl graphic novels, so I just added in 1 of the book covers, and that's just because that's all that fits right there, and I don't want to add like 1 random book somewhere else because it all fits nice and neat here on this little flip. So it's fine for me, and then I just added some of that pattern paper to the other side. I'm not sure. You'll notice me adding pattern paper around the book today, and I'm not sure if I'm going to add anything on top. I may eventually add like a bigger book theme sticker or something, but I didn't have anything right now to add, so I'm just going to leave it for now. So my favorite book of the month was actually the last Paper Girl graphic novel. So funny story, I have been collecting the Paper Girl graphic novels over this year, and I've loved that series a lot. That's actually what I'm going to write about here in my review section as well. So yeah, I really loved them, and I had a couple that I had bought that I hadn't read yet, and I bought them months ago. So I thought that would be a great thing for me to read this month in December, since I really wasn't reading that much this month. So I read the 5th one, and I loved it. I think it was the 5th one, and I loved it. I thought it was really good. And then I was like, okay, I'm about to read the 6th one. So whenever I was kind of taking a little break in between the 2 books, I was going to look on Amazon and just see if I could get the next one in the series, just so I could like go ahead and order it while I was thinking of it and keep them coming. And then I realized that there is only 6 of the Paper Girl graphic novels. So I actually was about to read the final book. So I'm kind of glad that I took that break and looked it up, because otherwise I would have been reading like the finale book and I wouldn't have even known that it was the last one. So I don't know if that's ever happened to any of you, but like if you're watching some kind of show or series and then you're at the finale episode, but like you don't realize it's the finale and you watch it and you're just like, wait, what? You're not ready. So I was really glad that I was able to kind of prepare myself and that I knew that that was the last one in the series. But yeah, it's a really, really fun graphic novel. I definitely recommend it if you're into kind of reading comic book graphic novel kind of things. It's about a group of girls. I've probably mentioned this before. I'm sure I have many times, but it's about a group of 4 girls who meet through their paper routes, and this is set in 1988. And it already has like the fun 80s vibes, but they meet on their paper route, and then all of a sudden they kind of get whisked into this time traveling situation that they are not prepared for. And I mean, so many things happen, monsters and meeting themselves at different times. And just they're always trying to get back to 1988, and they uncover things about themselves, about their friends. It's kind of a coming of age story as well. And it's just really good. They actually had the first season of Paper Girls, the TV show, came on Amazon earlier this year. So I really loved that as well. But I loved the graphic novel, so I highly suggest them. They kind of have a Stranger Things vibe because they're around that same age, and it has that coming of age story, but instead of it being more kind of horror like Stranger Things, it almost just has more of like the sci-fi time travel-ness of Paper Girls, but really loved it. So that was definitely my favorite thing that I read this month, since it wrapped up and it was done. But besides that, I did read a few other things. So as I'm filling in my December stats here, of course, I do the same thing. Every month, I just stamp out December stats. I had my 3 boxes for what I listened to via audio, ebook, and physical. I always add in my fave, my least favorite, and the number of pages. And then I add my books over here to the right side. So these books I did print off a little bit bigger than usual because I only read 5 books this month. And then I definitely am going to do something similar to this idea for the 2023 sections. I'm not sure exactly what, but as far as the way that I am documenting the stats on the left page, I definitely want to document different stats. So that is something that I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet. So that's to be determined, but we'll figure that out as we go. And in the January wrap up, you'll see what I end up doing. So the other books that I read this month, y'all already know, I read another Joanne Fluke, The Cherry Cheesecake Murder. It was fine. It got a 3-star, so it wasn't one of my favorites, but it was okay. I'm just kind of continuing with that story, I guess, until I finish it. So I'll be reading them all throughout 2023. I also listened to The Family Game, which was a thriller. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It was just basically about a rich family, these wild games that they play both mentally and physically, and about a kind of new, I guess, a fiance of one of the men in the family, and how she's like new to the family and she's trying to uncover all these secrets about the family. So it was pretty interesting and I did enjoy it. And of course, she had secrets of her own and all of that. And then the last book that I read was Rest Ye Murdered Gentlemen. And that was actually my book club pick of the month. It was a Christmas themed cozy mystery. So it was also kind of a okay book. I enjoyed it. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do, I think, but just out of reading a lot of cozy mysteries at this point, it didn't do anything special for me. But if you're looking for Christmas cozy vibes in a book, I mean, it had it all. And it was definitely a fun book to read over the holidays because every single thing in it was Christmas themed. And so that was like really fun. It gave you all the holiday feels for sure. And I did think that the mystery murder aspect was actually pretty good. So it was good by the end. So I did fill in a couple other things here and there as I've been chit-chatting, but nothing too thrilling. And then we're moving to the back of the album here to where the book club section is. So as always, I have adhered down my book club discussion questions that I've answered over to the right side. And then I always stamp out the month again at the top, and then I outline it, and I'll add in my stickers. And I also always add in a photo of myself with the book. So here is the photo. And then I'll add in my thoughts and a little bit of notes about the meeting that we had at the bottom. So for sure, I will be documenting our book club for 2023, but I definitely want to do it in a different way. I just have to figure out what I want to do for that. This was fun, but I want to change it up a little bit for sure. I think I'm not going to use the Dymo label maker tape at all. I don't know if I already mentioned that, but I don't think I'm going to do that, just to try to cut down on the bulk wherever I can. And I definitely am still going to be adding photos. Obviously, I'm going to have photos of all the books that I read and everything. But as far as the additional photos, I'm just not exactly sure yet. I might keep it a little more simple and without the actual selfies and photos at the end. I don't know if you could hear Penny just then, but she's making all kinds of funny noises in the background, so I apologize. So yes, now I'm just adding on my stickers, adding on all the little last things. I typically do stamp out how many people were at the meeting just for my own little reference. And then I'll add in my journaling. Another thing that kind of annoyed me was that I had so much handwriting on these book club pages. So I would definitely change that a little bit and kind of do more of a mix. I don't really like having the handwriting on both sides of the page. So we'll see how it goes. But I have really enjoyed everything that I have documented for 2022. It's been so fun doing a reading journal. My very first time ever trying one out. So it's been a lot of fun. And I love that you get to kind of change it up and see what works and see what didn't work and change it up the next year, which is really fun. So y'all know I had this kind of empty space this entire year, and I didn't know what I was going to put right here. So this is kind of at the beginning of the Cozy Mystery section. So I took this photo the other day of all of the 7 Cozy Mysteries that we read over the year for my book club. So I just added the photo in because I needed something, and I'm adding on a few stickers. So I probably would have not done either one of those 2 pages if I would have been thinking more ahead, but I didn't know exactly how many pages I needed for that section at the time. So they both ended up being kind of like filler pages, which is fine. Then here, I realized that I did not fill out my little bookshelf, so I'm adding on my 5 books here. And then at the very end, I'm going to give you a bit of a flip through of my entire album. So I really, really love the way that everything has turned out, and it is so fun to see everything here at the end of the year. I'm so proud of myself for actually reading books or listening to them or whatever, but I still listen to the stories. I know the stories, and it feels so good to have consumed all of these books this year. I'm definitely a reader now, which makes me really excited. I'm in the club. It's been really fun, and I'm so excited for all of the things that I will be getting to consume in the upcoming year. So I've loved working on this album over here, and this was a thing I didn't even know if I was going to really share, and it's been a really fun thing to share over here on YouTube. So I'm definitely going to continue to do that every month for 2023. So here is the last little bit of the flip through, and then I will remind you what we worked on for the 2023 section as well. I hope it doesn't get too terribly big and difficult to work in, but we'll see how it goes. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like. Please also consider subscribing. And of course, I'll be back at you super soon with another one. Bye, y'all.